guys, Matthew back here from a series of little efforts, and we are back at Primal Movement in downtown Toronto. Today what I want to do is run you guys through what I normally do when I go through my stretching and rolling it. I've had a lot of questions about it, so instead of just trying to give you guys a set program, because it is different for everybody, I'm just going to kind of go through my own routine. I'm going to show you what I do on a daily basis, and then hopefully you guys can adapt that into your own programs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go downstairs and I'm just going to turn on the camera and I'm going to go through my routine. I'm not going to talk during it just so that I can relax during my stretches and make sure I get a good stretch in. And then we'll come back up, and when I edit it, I'll just put the narration over top. So hope you enjoy it, and see you downstairs.
Alright, so I got all my stuff set up. I did end up putting the video here, the stretching part of the video, in double time, just because it was taking a long time to get through it, and I tried recording over it, but it was too long. So we start off stretching, and we're starting with the calves, and we're going to work our way up. So I'm just using a standard yoga block here. All my stretches are about 30 seconds a side, and I'm doing 3 sets on each side, as obviously you can see here. Sorry about the camera keeps adjusting the focus over and over. I'm going to have to try and play with the settings next time. But yeah, so I'm trying to work with the calves and really try and loosen them up as I move up the whole posterior chain. So this program is mainly designed, when I did this program, I actually had just finished a run. So it was designed really just to kind of loosen everything back up again, keep the posterior chain nice and loose, and that way when I go into my next workout, I'm ready to go. This can also be used for any kind of pain relief. If you have back pain, hip pain, knee pain, you can go through something like this and it will help relax you. So next from the calves, we move on up to the hamstrings. For me, I notice a lot of people, they always try and grab their toes. If you think here of me reaching and grabbing my toes and pulling my foot toward me, I'm really going to be stretching my calf more. What I really want to be doing is hitting that hamstring properly. So instead of grabbing the foot, I will, as you can see here, my arm is bent and I'm just grabbing my lower leg and pulling on my leg to help bring myself forward and holding that stretch. So, you can see that I could easily reach my toes. There's quite a big bend in my arms. And I can get my head here right down onto my knee, but there's no reason, I even have my elbows on the floor here, but there's really no reason to be reaching for the toes at all. Just get that hamstring stretch in. The hamstring is the longest muscle in the posterior chain, so making sure that you're getting that good stretch is super important because that's the biggest elastic, and it's going to have the biggest effect if it is tight. So moving on here, you can use a towel for this if you don't have a TheraBand, but anything really will work. A towel might even be better because it won't stretch on you. But just trying to really make sure I get a good hamstring stretch in, getting it at 2 different angles. I really like this one because it does allow me to keep my back flat instead of stretching the muscles in my lower back. And now this way I'm getting 6 stretches a side in on my hamstrings, which is really nice. So I also keep in mind during this stretch, my chest is still up and my shoulders are back. I am trying to pull on the band at the same time, but trying to maintain your posture during these stretches as much as possible will be beneficial in terms of actually hitting the muscle properly. Downstairs, there were some other things going on, so every once in a while you see me looking around at people coming into the room. So after this one, I believe we are moving into the glute stretch next from here, as we get rid of the band. Yeah. So this one, somebody mentioned to me already, looking at this stretch, that they normally keep, at least on this side, they keep their left leg, and now we've switched on to the right leg, they'll keep that leg bent at a 90-degree angle. I personally like having it up a little higher, I feel like I get a better stretch in the glute in this way. For those of you who don't know, what's going on here is the bent leg that's crossed over the straight leg. That's the leg that's getting the stretch in the glute. So you're just crossing it over and then pulling the other leg back because it's in turn pulling back the side that's stretching. So really making sure that I'm in good posture here, getting a good stretch across these muscles. Again, the glute is a huge muscle. We'll get more into this in the rolling out section, but the glute is a huge muscle group, and there can be a lot of tightness in through the glute. So making sure you get that stretch through the glute is definitely important. I think this is where we go back to regular time here. Make sure you have your water with you, of course. Yeah. All right. So now we're switching back to normal time because I want to talk a little more about the rolling out, and it goes a little faster. So again, we start from the bottom and we work our way up. Here I'm actually using a squash ball. So I'm starting with a really small ball. It's about the size of a golf ball. You can use a golf ball if you want. Or, as you can see here, I switch into a lacrosse ball. And the lacrosse ball is a lot bigger. I'm doing about 10 rolls per side, and then switching and still doing 3 sets. Now, you can start with the lacrosse ball and move your way up if you want. That's fine. You don't have to use a smaller ball. I just like using the smaller one to work out little kinks here and there. So from here, I move to the calves. I did have to record this video a couple times, so hopefully this one turns out a little better. The first time my camera died, and then the second time it turned off after 10 minutes. I didn't realize I had that as a setting. So anyway, onto the calves. So you can see with the foam roller here, we're using the trigger point foam roller, which I did a video on before if you want to check that out. But with the foam roller, we're only working right down at the bottom of the calf. We're not actually rolling out the muscle too much. We're rolling the tendons and ligaments and all the attachments down as close to the foot as possible. So we do a couple sets of this. And then we do get into the muscle itself. So it's not like I'm ignoring it, but hitting those tendons and ligaments is usually where you have the most scar tissue. So rolling that out is going to have the biggest impact. So here's where we switch back to the lacrosse ball. You can do this on the ground, but I actually prefer to have it up on the yoga block. It kind of gives me a little more leverage. You can see you don't need to put too much pressure on it. The right leg is actually bent for a reason. It's supporting me so all of my weight isn't on the ball. If you put all of your weight on the ball in this situation, it's going to be quite painful. You can even see here, I'm going quite slow and really being very cautious going through the entire length of the muscle. And that's because it was very, very painful. And I did just finish a run, so you don't want to go too crazy with it. Now onto the hamstring. I don't know if you can see that very well, but that roller there is actually homemade. I brought it into a model making place that I used to work next door to, and they ended up putting it together for me. But it's literally just a foosball table handle cut down to size with a rollerblade wheel inserted. And as opposed to the foam rollers, I find it really difficult to get in between the muscle fibers with the foam roller. So with this roller, I'm really able to pick and choose which muscle fibers I go in between. And then we move up to the glute. As I said, this one's super important. In terms of rolling out, this one is just as important as stretching the hamstrings is for the stretches. This is probably the most beneficial thing you will do in your day in terms of your health and in terms of injury prevention or fixing an injury. Really making sure you get right in the meat of the muscle. You can work up and down. You can, as you can see here, I'm kind of tilting more on the side, trying to dig really in up near that sciatic nerve. If this is too painful for you, and yes, warning, if you're doing it for the first time, this is not going to be comfortable. But if it is too painful, instead of my left leg here crossed over, just straighten it and put the foot on the floor. You don't need to have it crossed over, but if it's not painful, then cross it over. And then if it's still not painful, then you're in a good spot. During any of these rolling out exercises, if you're feeling any pain, that means that you should be doing it more often because you shouldn't be having any pain. Pain is there to tell you that there's something wrong. So the more painful it is, the more you need to do it. All right, so that's it for the rolling out. And the last thing I like to do is get into the fascia stretching. So fascial stretching, which we haven't really talked about much on this channel yet, is something that's relatively new. But basically, the fascia being so, now finding out that it can contract individual muscles, you really need to take time and stretch it on its own. So what we're doing here is just planting ourselves into a hamstring stretch. It's 4 minutes exactly. I cut out parts of it for you guys, so you didn't have to watch the whole 4 minutes. But you can see I'm slightly over 90 degrees because I can reach further than that. I don't need to be at 90 degrees. If this is too hard for you, you can just go with your back on the floor against the wall. But if you do need a bigger stretch, then do it against the wall. With the ball against the wall. So this just gives you another angle. You can see that my feet are perfectly flat. You should be able to rest something on top of there. If you can't, then the angle is too big. You need to back off the angle so that you can get your feet flat. You really want everything symmetrical. That's super important. I do try and give you a couple different angles here just to kind of get a grasp of it. I know it's hard without me there to actually tell you how to get into and out of position, but it shouldn't be too difficult. Unless you're using it without the ball, in which case it can be quite awkward to get your butt right up against the wall so your legs are flat. But you do have to get as close as possible. If you need to get someone's help to push you in against the wall, then do that. Alright, so we're almost done here. You see I'm getting close to the 4 minutes, so I'm starting to get a little fidgety. I'm starting to pull a little bit. And I think that's about it. So if you want to watch the dismount here. Alright, so you just take the first leg, push it against the wall, push your butt back, and up you go. And from the other angle, push yourself back, and up you go. And that's it.
That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, just hit the like button, and also subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you all soon with another video. Thanks guys, take care, bye.